Welcome to lecture 31. So in this lecture we will discuss network theorems which we are commonly used in circuit analysis. So basically what is the use to study the network theorems in this particular course, as already we have mesh analysis, nodal analysis and other methods also to compute the currents and the voltages for the branches, right? Then what is the use to study again the network theorem? The use is that basically the network theorem are generally used for the design of network during the circuit analysis. Okay, so basically network theorems will be used to simplify the complicated network, or again I will say if I'm interested to find out the current and voltage for particularly one branch, then network theorem will be very useful for it. So in this in this class or in this particular topic we will see 6 or 7 different type of theorems which generally which has been used, which are using for the circuit analysis. So first we will see the superposition theorem. This already you know it, but we will just have a quick overview on it. Superposition theorem. Then next we will see the Thevenin's theorem. This is very well known theorem in the circuit analysis. Then next we will see the Norton's theorem. This is basically the dual of Thevenin's theorem. Then we will see the reciprocity theorem, which is also somewhat used for the simplification purpose. Then we will have the substitution theorem. Substitution theorem. Then we will see the Millman's theorem. Millman's theorem. And at last we will see the Telegin's theorem. Basically this already we covered, but we will formally define this theorem also. Okay, so let's start with first the superposition theorem. So basically what is superposition theorem? So basically superposition theorem will be applicable only when your network or circuit is linear. So this is only used for the linear circuits, and basically it is the sum of the weighted responses. For example, suppose I have 3 voltage sources and 3 current sources in my network, and suppose I would like to find out the particular voltage and current for one branch. Okay, so at that time what to do, you use it one source and nullify all other sources and find that current or voltage. Okay, and okay, first find that current or particular voltage for the particular branch. Then next what you do it, you activate other source and deactivate all the remaining independent energy sources and similarly calculate it. Likewise you do you repeat the process for each the energy source, and then at last what you do the algebraic sum of all the currents or voltages which have been added, and resultant will be the addition of all this. So that is basically the superposition theorem. But here notice that when you are applying the superposition theorem and when you are deactivating or when you are inactivate the source has to be independent source. Okay, if the sources, if the network, if in the network consists of the controlled sources or dependent sources, then you will have to keep it as it is, because control sources and the dependent sources will be as good as close to your register kind of thing, right? So basically what is when we are doing the circuit analysis, what is the problem? The problem is to define as the admittance matrix into vector V vector, that is voltage vector, that can be equal to current vector, right? And on the right hand side what it will be all the independent sources, and where the dependent sources will come, it will come in this admittance matrix basically. So this is the reason when you are solving or when you are simplifying the circuit using superposition theorem, you must have to inactivate only the independent energy sources. Okay, so I'll say if nullify the voltage source means you make it short circuit, and nullify the current source means you make it the open circuit of it. Okay, so let us see this theorem with example. So suppose I have one current source like this, then in parallel with it one resistor, then there is one more resistor, and I have two branches like this. In one branch again I have a current source whose direction is downward, again one more resistor in parallel with it. Okay, then here one more resistor, and it is connected with one more voltage source, for example, and all this will be connected to ground. Okay, and now let me put it some numbers. So they say this current source is of value 12 ampere, this is say 4 ohms, this is say 8 ampere, this is 4 ohms. Okay, 4 ohms, this is say 8 ampere, 8 ohm, and this is voltage source is 64 volt. Okay, so what I have to do, my problem is to find out this current. Okay, now remember here when I am saying the design problem, what does it mean? So the design problem here is that suppose I want to achieve this I is equal to 3 ampere. So in order to achieve this current is equal to 3 ampere, what should be the value of voltage source I can connect here? I can connect here. So this is kind of the design problem. Okay. So let us solve it. So in order to solve, what I will do first, I will activate the 12 ampere current source, and I will nullify or I will deactivate 8 ampere source, and this is 64 volt source. So for current source, if I'm inactivating what it is, I will make it open circuit, and this will I will make it short circuit. Okay. So for first term, so there are three, the independent sources. So 3 times I have to solve the circuit. So what it will be? So let me draw first. Let's say 12 ampere I have to activate it, then in parallel with 4 ohm resistor, then here this 8 ampere I make it open. So what will happen, 4 and 4, this will be in series, so it will be basically 8 ohm, and directly write. Then here this will be 8 ohm, and again voltage source has been short circuited, so it will be like this. Okay, fine. And this is 4 ohm, this is 8 ohm, and this is 8 ohm. And what about, I want to obtain this current. So what can be done? First let me obtain the total current for it. So what it will be, this 8 ohm and 8 ohm are in parallel. So what you will do, you take it, the parallel combination of it. So what will be this will be like 12 ampere, this is 4 ampere, and this will be again 4 ampere here. Okay, so this will be not 4 ampere, I'm sorry, this is 8 ohm, 8 ohm are 8 ohm and 8 ohm are in parallel. So what will be the equivalent resistance? It will be 4 ohm here, and it will be 4 ohm here. This is 12 ampere, right? So now this current will be divided into two branches, one is here and one is here. So as I observe the resistances are same, so what will happen, the division will be same, that is 6 ampere and 6 ampere. Okay, now 6 ampere is divided is here, where if I'll take the circuit this, so what was this current, this was basically 12 ampere, then it was going as 6 ampere here, 6 ampere here. Now again I observe that this resistance and this resistance remains same, so again it will be same way divided, that is 3 ampere here and 3 ampere here. So what about this current I1 here? I1 will be obviously 3 ampere, right? So with physical inspection also you can quickly calculate it, I1 will be 3 ampere. Okay, now what next, I will now activate the 8 ampere current source and deactivate 12 ampere, as well as deactivate this voltage source. So in this case, what is the situation now? So one resistor 4 ohm here, then this 4 ohm will be here, then as I am activating this 8 ampere current source like this, then there will be resistance, and what it will be, one more resistance, and then it will be connected like this. Okay, so this is my 4 ohm, this is my 4 ohm, this is my 8 ohm, this is my 4 ohm. Okay, now to solve this, again let me redraw it properly. So how can we, let me take this 4 ohm and this is 8 ohm are in parallel form. Okay, So now the redraw, if I'll redraw the circuit, how will it be? It will be, first let me draw the current source. Basically this is how much, 8 ampere. Then in parallel with, basically this resistance and this resistance, they are in parallel form. So what I can do, this is 4 ohm, also this is 4 ohm, and then this 4 and this 8 are in parallel form. So resultant 4 when parallel with 8 ohm, it comes out to be 8 by 3 ohm. Okay, so this will be 4 ohm and this will be 8 by 3 ohm. This is 4 ohm and this is common here. What was it? It is 8 ampere. Fine. So this is my I2 which I have to obtain it, and to obtain this I2, this total current I know it, that is 8 ampere. So this is minus 8 ampere. Okay, now I will use the current division rule here. So I2 will be this 4 plus again 8 by 3, so it will be 20 by 3 ohms. Okay, 4 plus 8 by 3, 4 3 is at 12 plus 8 is at 20 by 3. Resultant will be 20 by 3. So what is I2? I2 will be now 20 by 3. To compute this current, the resistance opposite to it will be in numerator divided by sum of it, which is 4 ohm plus 20 by 3 into total resistance is 8, that is minus 8 ohm, minus 8 ampere. And if you solve this, this is, will come out as 20. Okay, this is 32 and 8, which is minus, and if you solve it keeps coming minus 5 ampere. So your I2 will be minus 5 ampere. Now what next? Is there again energy source? Yeah, one more energy source is there, third time. So now I will deactivate this 12 ampere, this 8 ampere, and I will use this 64 volt as an energy source. So now the equivalent is, this is open circuit. So now what it will be, there will be 4 ohm, this will be 4 ohm, this is also open circuit, so again it is 4 ohm here, this 8 ohm here, and then battery is of 64 volt. Okay, so this is 4 ohm, 4 ohm, 4 ohm, and this is 8 ohm. So this will be 8 ohm again. Okay, so 8 ohm and this is in parallel with 4 ohm. So what I'll take it this parallel combination. So it will be 8 by 3, as already we calculated, 4 in parallel with 8 by 3 ohm. Then this will be 8 ohm, and then connected with the voltage source here, which polarities are like this, and this will be 64 volt. Okay, now I would like to obtain this current I3. So to do this, I should know what is the voltage here. So suppose my voltage is V2 here. So this voltage V2 can be obtained as, again, this total voltage I know it. So you can use the voltage divider here. So V2 will be 64 into 8 by 3, 8 by 3 over 8 plus 8 by 3. So this is coming as 16 ohm. Okay, 3 cancel, 32 and 8 by 32, and this is 64, right? So 16 volt it will be. Now if V2 is 16 volt, what about I3? I3 will be V2 by 8 by 3. So V2 by 8 by 3, it comes out as 2 ampere. Okay. Right? So this will be 2 ampere. Now I have everything, I1, I2, I3, and what will be my now resultant current? Resultant current will be I1 plus I2 plus I3. So I1 is 3, I2 is minus 5, plus I3 is 2. So resultant is 0 ampere. Wow, surprised. Okay. So yeah, current may be 0, doesn't matter. Okay. So what is this current? This current is 0 ampere. Okay. So this way you can solve using the superposition theorem, and with this you can find out the particular current or voltage for the particular branch, you can say. Okay. Now next one more example, we'll take it related with the dynamic circuit, where the circuit consists of the capacitors, inductors or ions or energy storage elements. So suppose this is my voltage source with sinusoidal excitation. If it is sinusoidal excitation, I know phasor approach is good for it, with value is 10 angle with 0. Then there is a 2 ohm resistance, then inductor is 2J, and there is one more resistor is 3 ohm, and then there is a capacitor minus J1, and one more resistor 1 ohm, and again one more sinusoidal current source is connected here. Okay, and it has been asked you to find out this current I, and current source, sinusoidal current source with value 5 angle 30 degree, and this is 1 ohm, and this is a 2 ohm resistor. Okay, so if I would like to solve it using the superposition theorem, what is to be done? You take it one source and deactivate other source. So let me first deactivate this current source. So if this is the case, then it will be open circuited. So in this situation, what will happen? I will have one voltage source like this. Okay, then resistance 2 ohm, inductor 2J, then there will be 3 ohm, that's it, and then capacitor with resistor like this, and this will be 10 with angle 0 degree over. This is 2 ohm, 2J ohm, this is 3 ohm minus J ohm, and this is 1 ohm. Okay, now what I would like to find it out, I would like to find out this current I. So this can be obtained as I will be simply V by impedance. Okay, so what about this? Let me call this is I1. So I1 will be voltage is 10 angle 0 degree over impedance is simply 2 plus 2J plus 3, so it is 5 plus 2J, and if you solve, let me convert this rectangular form into polar form, which is coming 5.38 with angle 21.80, and this current will be now 1.857 with angle minus 21.8 degree. So this will be current I1. Now let me calculate. Now what I will do, I will short circuit this. I will use now this current source 5 angle 30 degree. So if this is the case, how will be my circuit diagram? So just see, this will be short circuit, so this 2 plus 2J 3 ohm and minus J 1 ohm. Okay, so this will be short circuit, then 2, this will be 2J, then 3 ohm, then capacitor, and then resistor here, and what I am applying sinusoidal current source with value 5 angle 30 degree, and all will be nullified here, not giving to common. Okay, so here this resistance value is 2 ohm, this is 2J ohm, this is 3 ohm, this is minus J, this is 1 ohm, and 5 angle 30 degree, and what I have to obtain this current I2. So to get it, this is total current I2. So again I can use the voltage, so current division rule here. So I2 will be, total current is 5 angle 30 degree into opposite impedance, that is 2 plus 2J, divided by sum of the impedances, which will be 3 plus 2 5 plus 2J. So you can convert this rectangular into polar form, and I got it 2.61 with angle 53.190 degree. Okay, so total resultant current will be the algebraic sum of I1 and I2, which is 3.58 with angle 23.2 degree amps. Okay, so if the circuit is dynamic and if the sinusoidal excitation will be there, then it is very easy to compute the particular current or voltage for particular branch using the phasor approach. Okay. So this is all about the superposition theorem. Now let us see, let us discuss the next theorem called Thevenin's theorem. So as already we discussed Thevenin's theorem, again suppose I would like to find out the particular, or I am interested only for one element whose current and voltage supposed to be obtained, supposed to be find it out, then then what can be done? I don't want to write the differential equations using mesh and nodal analysis and solve it. So instead of that, I can go with the Thevenin's theorem and I can find it out that. Okay. So before going to Thevenin's theorem, let me just give you the idea about one theorem which we will be using for the proof of the Thevenin's theorem, that is called as compensation theorem. So basically there are two types. Here we will see the elementary theorem, that is type 1 theorem. So what it says that, any element in the network may be whatever the element you can consider, that can be replaced by its by the voltage source or current source whose value may be the voltage drop across that particular element, right? And this is only applicable for LLFB set sort of networks. So basically what I want to say, if I have the network like this with battery E, then there is R, and suppose one more resistor here. So this is R1 and this is R2, and this is my current flows. I know what is E. So what is the drop across R2? It will be I into R2. So what compensation theorem says, that any element in the network, suppose R2, can be replaced by voltage source or current source, or let me replace by the voltage source. Then what will be the value of that voltage source? That value of the voltage source will be the drop across R2. So according to the compensation theorem, I can replace any element by its voltage source with this polarity. Okay, with E, this will be my R1, and what about this value? This value will be the drop across R2, which is I into R2. This is basically compensation theorem type 1, and type 2 generally will not use here. The type 2 will be applicable for the sensitivity analysis. Okay, so with this, let me prove the Thevenin's theorem basically. So first, to do that, what let us define the first network or first Thevenin's theorem. So suppose I have the network and say like this, I have network N, okay, which consists of m number of voltage sources, n number of current sources. There are so many dependent sources, there are resistors, there are inductors, there are capacitors, etc., etc. And again they are connected to this, and let me call this is the load ZL, right? And if I am interested to find out current I, okay, then Thevenin's theorem can be used to find out this current I. Only the restriction is that there should not be any mutually coupled thing, or there should not be any magnetic coupling between this load ZL with N. Okay, so what is the restriction for the Thevenin's? That is no magnetic coupling, between ZL and network N. That has to be remembered. Okay, so Thevenin's theorem says that as far as this load current I concerned, which one, this I concerned, the whole network N can be replaced by, it will be giving me the equivalence, okay, between N with ZL. So the behavior is same here at this point, at this terminal A and B, behavior will remain same. So whatever the I will be here, the same will be here also, same for V also. Okay, so as far as this I concerned, the whole network N can be replaced by voltage source called Thevenin's voltage source Vt, and in series with the equivalent impedance called Zt. Okay, so what is it? This is approximately equal to Vt, that is Thevenin's voltage with this polarity in series with the equivalent impedance Zt, and obviously that you connect with load ZL. Okay, and this current I can be obtained. Okay, so this Vt is my Thevenin's voltage or this open circuit voltage, or I can call it as VOC, that if I'll make it open, or I can call it as VAB. Okay, and ZT will be the Thevenin's impedance, and that has to be calculated by looking the network from this point. Okay, and where you nullify or you deactivate the all voltage sources, current sources, but keep it the dependent or the control sources as it is, and find it out total Z out, that is the equivalent impedance. Okay, and so this is my total Thevenin's equivalent, and now if I would like to obtain I, so Vt will be ZL plus Zt, or if I would like to calculate what is the voltage across it, so that can be obtained as I into ZL once I know the I. Okay, so now let us see the proof. Proof of Thevenin's theorem. So suppose, as we told, say this is my network, consists of m number of voltage sources, n number of current sources, there are capacitors, inductors, and etc, etc, and then this is connected with the load impedance like this, and I would like to find out this I, right? Now basically let me think it again more detail. Okay, so let me use the compensation theorem to replace this ZL element as voltage generator. If this is the case, then how can I write? I can redraw it. Suppose this is my network, and with m number of voltage sources, n number of current sources, and everything, and then this replaced by voltage generator using compensation theorem with this polarities, and this is what the behavior. Okay, terminal behavior AB, and this should be replaced by voltage generator, and what should be the value? The value should be I with ZL. Okay, so if I am doing this way, then what we are observing, that this current I will be the resultant current, from the network, and where m number of voltage source and n number of current sources has been drawn, plus the current results from this voltage generator I into ZL. So I will be the addition of two types of currents, I1 and I2. One will be, suppose this will be inactivated, this will be inactivated, activate m number of voltage source, n number of current sources, some current you will get it, that is I1, and plus the current trend from this I into ZL voltage generator, right? So I is equal to I1 plus I2. Now let me obtain I1 and I2. So to get it this, what, as it is a linear kind of thing, so I will use the superposition theorem here. Okay, so to use it, what I will do, first I will replace this voltage source by short circuit. So if this is the case, then what it will be, this is my network, and with m number of voltage sources, n number of current sources, and then replace this by this. So what it will be, this will be your short circuit current. Okay, I. So this is case 1. Now what about case 2? In case 2, what I'll do, I'll activate now I into ZL and deactivate this all the m number of voltage sources and m number of current sources in the network. So there were m number of voltage sources, current sources, I will deactivate it, and what I will use it now, this voltage generator, whose value will be I into ZL, and what I will do, I will find out my I2. Okay, so what will be I2? I2 will be what will be this voltage I know, that is I into ZL divided by the impedance, and impedance, if I deactivate number of voltage sources and number of current sources, I can find out the total impedance ZT. Okay, so I2 will be minus IZL. This is not subscript. These are two different quantities. One is I into ZL over ZT. ZT will be your equivalent impedance obtained by looking into the network by deactivating MV, that is number of voltage sources and number of current sources. Okay, yeah. Now with this, I will write my total current I is equal to I1 plus I2. What was I1? I1 was ISC, and what is I2? I2 is minus I into ZL upon ZT, which is I. Now what I'll do, whatever I have, that is network N with n number of voltage sources and number of current sources. Then there was the voltage generator like this. Okay, I into ZL. Now what I'll do, I'll open this terminal AB. Okay, and let me say what will happen. So if I'll open this terminal AB, then what will happen? I will be equal to 0. But remember, when I is equal to 0, but this voltage, that is VOC or VAB, will not be 0. Okay, so VAB will exist. Right? So with this, if I'll open it, what will happen? This I will be 0. ISC will be as it is, but this is not particular I know. Now this will be your open circuit voltage VOC or VAB, VOC upon ZT. So with this, what I can write for short circuit current, it will be open circuit voltage divided by ZT. Okay, this is my short circuit current. Now I have obtained this ISC, so what will be my total I which I have been concerned of? So it will be ISC, which is VOC upon ZT minus I into ZL upon ZT. So this I will shift it on this side, so it will be 1 plus ZL upon ZT into I, which is VOC upon ZT. Okay, and then it will be I into ZL plus ZT over ZT, which is equal to VOC over ZT. Then this will vanish. So what will be the current? Current will be VOC over ZL plus ZT. So this will be the value of current for that particular load. Okay, so with this, what will be my equivalent, the circuit? So this will be voltage source VOC, or I can write this is VT also, and in series with ZT, that is equivalent impedance, and it is in series with ZL. Okay, and this I basically I have adopted. So this I will be VOC or VT divided by total impedance ZL plus ZT. Okay, so this is basically the proof of Thevenin's theorem. So this way you can calculate the current for particular element, and once you know this, then what you can do it, you can obtain the voltage across it also by multiplying I with ZL. Okay, so let me take it one problem here to illustrate this network theorem. So suppose this problem is from book FFQ. So example 1. Okay, so suppose I have this voltage source V of t, then switch is connected like this, then there is inductance, then there is a capacitance, there is one more inductance, and then resistor here, L1, L2 and C here. Suppose this is switch which will be closed. Okay, and this is plus and minus. Fine. So determine this V0 of t and say this is my R. Okay. So what I have to obtain now? I have to obtain only the voltage for one branch, that is R. So consider this as a load, and here I have to check at this terminal the behavior of it, which should be same, and this will be my network, and this will be network, and this will be load. Okay, now observe that there is no magnetic coupling between load R with the network N. Okay, so now I can apply the Thevenin's theorem for it. Now that I can solve using time domain or whatever the way you want, but let me solve it using the Laplace domain. So in order to see the in Laplace domain, we know that if it is an inductor, then what is its equivalent in Laplace domain? V of t will be equal to L di by dt, and what will be V of s? It will be SL minus Li of 0 negative, right? So what will be this? This will be SL, and then this will be voltage source with this polarity as it is negative sign. Okay, and for capacitor what it will be? It will be simply V of t is equal to integral minus infinity to t 1 over c integral I of tau d tau, and this again I can take it into two form, that is Vi of tau d tau plus integral 0 negative to t I of tau d tau 1 over c, and what is V of s here? It is say Vc of 0 negative initial voltage across capacitor plus 1 over Cs into I of s. So what is its equivalent in Laplace domain? It is like this C, and it is in polarity with this, that is plus and negative. Okay, so remember the difference between these two. If it is an inductor, it will be just opposite polarity, negative with positive, and for capacitor the voltage source will be positive with negative. Okay, fine. Now for that let me draw this equivalent in Laplace domain. So for this, how can we draw it? There was the voltage source. In Laplace domain it is V of s. Write properly V of s. Okay, then there is an inductor with value SL1, then replace with voltage source, value is L1 I of 0 negative, then there is capacitor replaced with voltage source, polarity positive negative with V sub c of negative, then again one more inductor, so replace SL2 with one more voltage source which is negative plus, and it is L2I of 0 negative, and then there was the interested terminal, that is something like this, and open it, and then load is connected as R here. Okay, so this is my load ZL and this is my network N. Okay, now let me name it. This is terminal A, B, this is terminal C and D. So this will be 1 over CS. Okay, now what I have to do to find it out, this voltage V0 of S, what I have to do, I should know what is my Thevenin's voltage and I should know what is my Thevenin's impedance, that is equivalent impedance. So first let me calculate Vt. So your Vt will be this voltage VAB plus VAC. So suppose I will call this initial voltage V1, this initial voltage V2, and this initial voltage as V3. Okay, so Vt, this voltage will be VAB plus VAC. Okay, so I will write VAB plus VAC. Now I will obtain the VAB. So what will be VAB? Voltage across capacitor plus V2. So V2 plus voltage across capacitor is 1 over CS into I of s. Now I would like to obtain I of s. So what will be total I of s? This your I will be this V minus V1 minus V2. Okay. So this voltage will be this minus this minus this, so your thing will be V minus V1 minus V2 over all the impedance. What were it? SL1 plus 1 over CS into 1 by CS. This is my I of S. Okay, plus V2. Okay, so this is my VAB. And what about VAC? VAC will be, now this is open, so this current, there is no flow of current here. So what will happen? The voltage will be 0 here. So what will be the voltage? Voltage will be V3 only. Okay, so VAC will be only V3. So total VT will be now V minus V1 minus V2 divided by SL1 plus 1 over CS into 1 over CS plus V2 plus V3. Okay. And here V1, V2, V3, we know all these are your initial conditions. Now next calculate the Thevenin's impedance, that is ZT. To compute this, I will inactivate all the sources. So voltage source is nullified. Then there is the inductance with L1, then capacitor 1 over CS L1S, and one more inductor L2, which is L2S. And this is basically I would like to obtain. This is terminal AB. Okay, CD we named it. So this is what your ZT, and what will be ZT? ZT will be SL1 parallel with 1 over CS plus SL2, and this comes out to be SL1 over CS divided by SL1 plus 1 over CS plus SL2. Okay, then you can simplify this also. S will be SL1, CS will cancel, so it will be S square L1C plus 1 plus SL1, no, SL2. Okay, so now I know VT, I know ZT, I can obtain V0 of T. Okay, and how will it be? I know VT, now I know ZT, that is this much, and what I would like to obtain, the voltage across ZL, which is R here. Okay, I would like to get V0 of S. Okay, now if you want, you can assume the initial conditions are 0. If this is case, then suppose now my initial conditions are 0, means V1, V2, V3 are 0. So what will be VT? VT will be V divided by SL1 plus 1 over CS, that's it, into 1 over SC. Okay, and which will be V of S. Obviously all this V means V of S upon S square L1C plus 1. And similarly ZT also you obtained, that is this. So now what will be VOC? VOC will be VT into voltage divider now. Okay, so V0 of S, no VOC, not VOC. Basically VT already I have calculated, which is VOC only. What is I am interested to compute V0 of S. So I will use the voltage divider here, so which will be R divided by R plus ZT into total voltage VT of S. Okay, so VT you got it, which is V of S upon S square L1C plus 1 into this R divided by R plus SL1 over S square L1C plus 1 plus SL2 into, yeah, that's all, v of 1 or this. If you simplify, you will be getting numerator polynomial something in the form of s, and we know how to solve for the inverse Laplace transform, that use the partial fraction expansion, use the standard pair to compute v0 of t, that is obtained by Laplace inverse of this part. Okay, so this way you can obtain particular voltage for particular element. Okay. Fine. So with this we stop here. Again, one or two examples regarding the Thevenin's theorem and the Norton's theorem we'll see in the next class. Thank you very much.